Hi Dhruvi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for being here today and representing Imperial College London. Imperial is one of the top universities in the world, even above Yale and Princeton now. So I'm excited to know about your course, how did you get in, and your experience at university. So before we talk about your life in Imperial, can I ask you to introduce yourself, your name, and again, which course are you studying, and again, at which university?
Okay. Well, thanks, Devyani, for having me here. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. My name is Dhruvi Modi, and I'm currently studying my master's in science in strategic marketing at Imperial College London at their business school. And yeah, so far it's been an amazing experience, and I'd love to talk more about it.
Right. So let's talk about your background now. Like, where are you from, and where did you do your bachelor's degree from?
So I'm from India. I grew up in India, but then I moved to Europe when I was around 13 years old, and I've kind of been here ever since. So I did my undergraduate degree in international business from the Netherlands in Erasmus University Rotterdam,
Mhm.
and I graduated from there in 2018. I decided to move back home to India for a while, spend some time with family. So I started working at Siemens in Mumbai.
Right.
I worked in marketing, actually, in their marketing department. After that, I shifted gears and I went to a startup where I worked on, I did something more creative. I worked on social media, content creation for a while. And then I applied to Imperial to come here right as the pandemic was kind of dying off. And I started my course here in 2021, September.
So I see on your LinkedIn that you have also done something from the University of Illinois. So what is that about?
Oh yeah. So I did during the pandemic. I
Mhm.
was a bit like, what should I do? What should my next steps be? So I did do a master's. I have an MIM master's in management from the University of Illinois. That was an online master's, and it was absolutely amazing. I had an amazing time doing that as well.
Oh, wow. So you have, this is your second master's, is it?
Yeah. This is my second master's.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about, like, to get into Imperial, obviously it's super hard. So can you tell me what your GPA was?
At Illinois, my GPA was 4.0. And in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands, I had 7.2 out of 10.
Right.
And I think the cutoff for Imperial was 7. So I was very lucky.
Hmm? Okay, can you tell me why did you decide to do masters in marketing? Like already you had done management in for the online degree and then marketing. So how did you switch to that and why so?
So I think throughout my career, so ever since I started my bachelor's in Rotterdam, and then as I kind of started my jobs, I knew I had an affinity towards marketing, and that's something that I really wanted to do full time in the future. And during my master's degree, my first degree, when I did management, I did have one course on marketing, but I didn't feel like it went too much in depth that could give me like a broad knowledge of all the areas and aspects of marketing, because there's a lot digital marketing, stuff like that. So and then I looked at Imperial's website, and that was like my goal. I wanted to kind of, I love the courses, I love the syllabus, everything. And I knew that this is kind of something that I wanted to do. It would help me kind of get to the next step in my career, which was becoming a brand manager or something like that.
So because you got into Imperial, like because you're of that caliber, like what other universities did you apply to? And did you get acceptance from all of them?
So I applied to my main focus was the UK. So I applied to universities only in the UK for my master's. And then I applied to King's. That's how we met. I applied to King's. I applied to Manchester, to St. Andrews, to Leeds, to I think that's about it. Yeah, I think there were like 3 to 4 universities that I applied to, and then obviously Imperial. And yeah, I was accepted into all, and I chose Imperial.
Of course. So let us talk about your course more in detail. So can you tell me how was the application process for Imperial? So is it the same for every university or was it something different for you?
So It was a bit different. So when I applied to Imperial, what was different was that we had a video interview that we had to do, which I don't think I had to do for Manchester or some other universities.
Right.
I don't know if that's changed.
Mhm.
But so basically how it worked was you sent in your application, which was basically like a written application, like the online thing, where you fill in your details, you put your scores, your certificates, etc. You put in your letters of your reference letters, recommendation letters, sorry. And after that, if they like your profile, they put you on to the next step, which is the video interview. So the video interview was basically it wasn't with a real person or a member of the Imperial faculty. It
Oh.
was, at least for me, it was with like a robot. Well, basically there was a random, like with a computer, there was like a
Mhm.
random message or like a question that would pop up, and then I had 2 minutes to prepare, and then like 2 minutes to talk. And then after this interview, I think there were like 6 to 7 questions. There was also one writing piece where I had to show my writing skills or professional skills in that. And then in total, I think this interview was like 30 minutes.
Okay.
Then it took me around a month or a month and a half to hear back.
Thank you.
And it was very long. It was a grueling process because I was like, oh my God, did I get in or not? I kept on emailing them. But no, finally, after like a month and a half, I got my acceptance. And yeah.
So about the interview process, like what kind of questions do they ask? Is it more like marketing focused or like personal experiences?
So they do have like personal questions, such as like, tell us about your tell us about your proudest moment or the best achievement or a time that you had a disagreement with someone and how did you solve it? Typical behavioral questions.
Mhm.
But then they also had a phase of the interview where they focused on marketing. So I went into the interview prepared with a set of questions, like some like marketing knowledge. I didn't go in blind.
Right.
So I did my research and stuff. And yeah, I'm not quite sure what question they asked me for marketing, but I think it was something along the lines of like, how do you think marketing, what are the futures of marketing given that the pandemic has just taken place? Like,
Mhm.
is offline marketing still viable, etc.? So I think it was something like that. But yeah, there was a lot of like marketing specific questions as well.
Right. And what about your writing piece then? Was it like how you have to write a research paper or like an assignment? How was that about?
So that writing piece was, I think maybe it was supposed to be like 250 words long. Don't quote me on that, but I think around that much. But it was actually completely different. So the topic for me, if I'm not mistaken, was you have been given a position in a university, but you're still waiting for another offer from another university. So you're writing to the current university saying, I'm sorry, I'm still waiting for that offer. So how would you write up this letter?
Oh
And
my
so I
God.
think it was more focused on how professional you can be and how you can like, I don't know, I guess how professional you can be in your writing. But yeah.
So all these answers, like, did you have like some kind of guidance on how to write about it, or like it was just all you?
I think they did maybe give us some bullet points, like focus on, I don't know, like greeting the person, etc. But I think mostly it was left up to us to kind of form the entire text.
Right. So let us talk more about your course in detail now. So can you tell me how is your year divided? Like how many semesters do you have? How many subjects in each semester and all of that?
So basically at Imperial, in this particular master's, we have 5 weeks of modules. So for example, we started off in September and by like mid-September, and by the end of October, we were already done with 3 modules. So how it works is every 5 weeks, you have 3 modules. And at the end of, so the exams were at the end of December and at the end of April. So all the modules that we did from September to December, the exams were in December. And
Right.
then modules from Jan to March, all the modules exams were in April. And then from April onwards, we had from May to June, we had a entrepreneurship strategy project, which is basically where we had to come up with our own like a business idea and like come up with, how would we market it? How would we sell it? How would we get, like, it was kind of like a pitch, So that was 1 month. And now from June to August, we have a consulting project, which is, yeah.
So you
And
do
then
not
you
have
come
a
and consult.
dissertation Is it?
Sorry?
You do not have a dissertation?
Oh, we do. So it's not really a thesis of sorts. It's called the Applied Strategic Marketing Report, which is a 5,000 word report that you have to submit at the end of the year. So around mid-August, and you're given a set of topics and you can choose which topic you want to write it on, but it's mostly from the course, so like stuff that you've done. And so you have to write like a proper, like a report on that, but that's the only end of year report that we have.
Right.
No other sort of thesis or any other thing. We do have like reports from the consulting project or internship if you did the internship and the other stuff. So yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to get to that a bit later again.
Yeah.
But like in terms of the subjects you have, I can just name a few subjects, because I saw that while applying, like when I went through the Imperial College website, math was a very huge requirement. And because I didn't take math in my undergrad, I was not even eligible to apply. So is it like more marketing focus or with a lot of numbers, or how is it? How is the balance in the module?
So you definitely do not need prior math knowledge. So what we did was, before we joined, actually, around June, 2-3 months before we joined the course, they gave us like our login details and everything, and we already had access to the Imperial website and like our own. It's called the Hub, so we had access to our degree materials and stuff, and we had like primers that we had to complete before we even started the masters. So there was a math primer, there was a data science primer, there was a like a plagiarism primer, stuff like that. And the math primer was very basic stuff that we've done in 10th, 11th, 12th, and from my experience during the courses, during the different modules, except for the finance and pricing module, we had a finance and pricing module that required math. As long as you have a basic knowledge of math, which is, I'm sure everybody has from high school, you're able to cope up. And a lot of my friends who didn't, for example, do business or math related degrees, I have a friend who did English, another friend who did psychology as her bachelor's, and they were able to cope up with this. So I wouldn't say that math is really that important.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, how are your lectures? Like, do you have lectures every day? How long is a lecture and all of that?
So, each lecture is around 2 hours long, with a 10 to 15 minute break in the middle, including that. And so, how the lectures were formed was that we had for every module. So, as I mentioned before, we had like 5 weeks, and 3 modules in those 5 weeks. So, every module had 2 lectures per week. So that meant like maybe on a Monday and Thursday, or a Monday or Tuesday, etc. So we had around like 6 lectures per week. Sometimes they were online, but mostly all of them were offline, like starting September. So it was pretty good.
So are your lectures more interactive? Like, like a concept is discussed and more like a debate type, or it's more like the teachers explaining you like marketing jargons? I don't know.
So I would say that based on the module, it depends. So for example, we had one particular module, as I mentioned, it's called finance and pricing. And this professor was more like, he was kind of just teaching us concepts of like, this is the NPV value, this is break-even calculations, etc. So there wasn't really much of like, and well, in each module, we do have cases that we analyze, and that's when the discussion comes into play, but it really depends. So one of my favorite modules was the strategic market management module, which was taught by like one of Imperial's favorite professors, James 18. And his lectures were so interactive, so engaging. Like you would go there because you wanted to interact with and, really learn from others. And even though we had the option to do it online, everybody would come to class just because it was so engaging. Right. So it really depends on the professor, depends on the topic. But like I would say like 80% of the modules, there's like interactive discussions, case discussions, etc.
Right. That's so interesting. So tell me about your projects and assignments for each module. Like you said, you had a consultancy project, which is at the end of the year. But otherwise, like, do you have individual assignments, group assignments? How does that work like?
So again, that depends on the module. For example, some modules had only group assignments and then an exam. Some modules didn't have exams at all. It was just group work and then one individual assignment. But there's always an individual component, whether that is an individual assignment or an exam at the end. Right. but there's a lot of emphasis that Imperial places on group work. So we were assigned groups for the first two. So from September till April, we were given assigned groups, and we worked with them for all the modules, and you can only start choosing your groups like after April, once you start your other independent projects. But yeah, no, I would say it was really eye-opening, because it allowed you to work with a lot of different people. Like Imperial makes sure that you have, and I'm sure every university does that, like you're with a lot of different nationalities and stuff. So it was interesting and engaging in that way too.
So while doing your assignments, is it more like theoretical based or practical based? Because what I saw in King's, at least, like we have a lot of theory. So whatever ideas or marketing concepts you come up, it has to be backed up by some journal article or so. So how is it Imperial?
I think it would depend on, again, the module. I would say most of the time. So for example, the finance course that we had was very much theoretical. But we, like in the group assignments, for example, we took Revolut as a company, and we were analyzing Revolut's financing and etc. And that allowed us to kind of also look at the marketing strategies that the company adopts, while keeping in mind like different finance and pricing strategies, etc. So in that way, it was kind of practical, because we were working with real companies. But no, there were, I would say, like it's kind of half and half. Like some of them are pretty theoretical, but some assignments are very, like for example, we had one assignment for our brand strategy module, which was we had to pick a random person, place, object, etc., and see how that thing brands themselves. So my team picked Addison Rae, the TikToker, and that was very practical, because we had to come up with a video, and it was really interesting. It was really like using all the different marketing theories we'd learned. We kind of came up with a really cool video, and that was fun, so that was more practical, I would say, than just like using your marketing theories, writing down a report.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. That's interesting. So tell me about like how many students are there in your class?
We're actually a lot. We're the largest cohort in the business school at Imperial. We're 200. And yeah, it's actually 75% women.
Oh yeah, same class.
Yeah. Yeah. We're like very predominantly women.
Marketing is that kind of industry, I guess.
Yeah.
So how many Indians do you have? Like, because, okay, you are an Indian, but because you did your undergrad and everything from Europe, like from Netherlands. So how many people from like who come from Delhi University or Bombay University are a part of your class?
A lot, I would say. Like we have, I would say like maybe 1/4 of my course is Indian, around 50, like 40 to 50 people. And yeah, 30 to 40 people, I'd say. And a lot of them are I would say half of them are from the like Indian, but did their undergrad from UK, like Warwick or Lancaster or something. And the other half are from Bombay University, Delhi University, Pune, Bangalore, Jaipur. I have a friend from Jaipur. So yeah, it's from everywhere, honestly.
Right. So for the students who want to study marketing in future, like what kind of undergrad degrees do you like predominantly see, or like what do you think you did different in your CV or your resume that you got into Imperial?
I think for people who want to get in, I wouldn't say there's like there's one particular degree that you have to do. So for example, I did business, my friend did English. I have one friend who did finance as his bachelor's, and then he came into, marketing master's. I would say that there's no particular degree, as long as you're able to prove in your application, in your personal statement, why you want to do marketing. If you have this finance background or engineering background, so why do you want to switch to marketing? What kind of made you want to choose this path? It's not like a random decision you woke up and made one day, So yeah. I think for me, what helped was I kind of, in my personal statement, I wrote about how marketing has always been a part of what I've done. Like in my university as well, I joined like marketing clubs, and as well as during my time working before I came to Imperial, I was also focused on marketing, like content creation, social media. So I think that helped. But even if you don't have any of these experiences and you just woke up one day and you were like, I want marketing, and you kind of work towards it, that's also good. So there's no like recipe, I would say, to kind of get in. I think it just depends on the person and your personal statement, your video interview.
Right. So, I've always wondered, like, university like Imperial, because of course it's super hard to get in, like literally very few percent of people to get in. So do you think like when people like are having discussions or everything, it is always like really like super smart people with super smart ideas? And do you feel like it's sometimes overwhelming? Like even you are a part of it, but how is that experience like?
I know exactly what you mean. And I honestly thought it would be like that. I pictured like the Legally Blonde scene where you go in and like, you're sitting next to all these people in like suits and everything. But to be very honest with you, it's very chill. Everyone is super friendly. Yes, people are smart. Like they did get into Imperial for a reason. So they're smart. There's a lot of engaging conversations. But at the same time, like everybody's 22, 23, everybody's humble, everybody's nice. You might find that oddball once in a while, but apart from that, honestly, everybody's very down to earth at Imperial. And I'm not just saying this, I felt that.
Right. And when you talk about like, what is the average age group? You mentioned 20 to 23. So is it more like freshers or people who have like a bit of experience?
I would say actually more freshers. So people who've just completed the degree. So they're like 22, just finished their bachelor's, and now they've come to do their master's. I was one of the older ones. I'm 25. And when I joined, I was 24, but the average age was 23. So I was still above the average age.
Right.
And people do have some, like maybe 1, maximum 2 years of experience, but not more. I would say it's very rare.
Right. So the key is like while doing undergraduation, do a lot of internships, a lot of like try to gather. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your favorite thing about your university?
I think, I mean, there's so many great things about Imperial, like it has such a good reputation, etc. But I think I really like how they really focus on the practical sides of things. So like the teaching methods are very practical. You see real life examples, you see real life cases. You're using real life data to form different models. For example, for one of our analytics courses, we had a real life data. I really like that. I also really like the professors. I think that's a huge asset to the university, because they really keep the material engaging. You're not just sleeping in the class, you're like actually like, oh wow, I want to listen to this person. So I think that's also really good. And also there's a lot of like events and clubs and societies that you can be part of, like whatever you want. There's like based on if you want to join like a sports team, so there's like handball, there's also Quidditch, there's a Quidditch society as well. And then there's like, if you're a vegetarian person, you can join a vegan and vegetarian society, or you can do like soup runs. There's a lot of things out there. So I think that also gives you the opportunity to meet a lot of different people from different backgrounds. And I think that has also been one of my favorite things of the university.
So which clubs are you part of?
I'm part of the Imperial Tech, Media, and Telecoms Club. I'm the content director there. So I'm part of the committee. And that has been an amazing experience. I was looking for jobs in tech and FMCG after my master's. So I did want to join a club that would, kind of match those preferences. And then I'm also part of the soup run. So volunteering. And I'm also part of the Gen Society, because I'm like Gen, like the religious society. Right. But it's fun. It's not like, it's just like meeting people who are from the same background as you, and going for dinners and like, having great discussions. And so yeah, no, it was pretty cool.
Right. And what are the things you do not like about university?
I'm the worst person to ask, honestly. I like saying praises for Imperial. Let me see. I think I would have liked, one thing that I would have liked more from Imperial was more help on the career aspect. Like we did have a lot of career workshops. Like every single week they had like 20, 25 workshops to help students build their career skills.
Per week.
But not that we didn't have to attend all of them. You could just choose whichever ones, obviously. Right. Okay. Otherwise you'd go crazy. But yeah, so there were like a lot of different options of different CV workshops, LinkedIn workshops, networking workshops, etc. I think that was there, but I would have liked to see more like career events. Like there were like 3-4 major ones throughout the year, but I would like to see more. I think that's the only thing that I would say. Apart from that, it's pretty good.
Right. So like when it comes to like career fairs, like do they teach you how to write your CV, how to directly apply and all of these things? And how has it been very helpful? Like, have you already landed a job, or what is that scene like?
So yeah, I think to be honest, the experience that you have at Imperial is what you make of it. So, there's all of these opportunities out there. There's all of these resources that they've given you. And it really depends on how you use these resources, like if you sign up for the workshops, if you sign up for them or not. And in the beginning, I signed up for a lot of the workshops. Some I found useful, some I found like, okay, I've already got this experience before, or I've done this, I know what they're talking about. And I think, that really helped me. Like, I would say that kind of helped me like prepare for like my interviews and like a lot of the grad schemes that I'd applied to, etc. So, but I think most of it, it's like the work that you do yourself, it's like you have to kind of push yourself and be like, okay, let me research online. Let me see how I can do better, because they're not going to like push you. They're not going to, yeah.
So like while applying for jobs, do you think because you're from Imperial, you have heard back from most of the places?
I would say it depends. There have been some places I haven't heard from at all, and then some places that I have. So maybe it just depends on whether you're suited if your background and your personality is suited for the job or not. But I mean, I would definitely say that Imperial, because it has such a good reputation, it helps you get your foot in the door. Definitely. But the rest is up to you. Yeah.
Right. And I wanted to ask you, because do you have like a lot of reading to do? Because like if for example, you have a lecture on Monday, and do you have a lot of reading you have to prepare before lecture, or is it like on the spot, or how is that like?
So yeah, there's a lot of reading that you have to do. I wouldn't say like it really depends on which modules you have. So there was this one, it was like a storm of 2 modules that were very heavy on reading, that were put together in the same like 5 weeks. So that meant that I actually had to schedule my weekends, and had to actually remember, okay, so this reading is for Monday, that reading is for Tuesday, so I'm going to spend Sunday night reading this, Monday night reading the other one. And most of the times it's case studies, it's articles that pertain to the topic that you're going to discuss. And it's very important that you read them, because the whole discussion that the professor is going to have is going to be about these articles. So I would say like 70% of the lectures included readings, and the others were just very like normal, like finance, except for the cases. I don't think we had many readings,
Right. And do you live on campus or off campus?
I live off campus, but I live in Imperial's accommodation. So it's called GradPad, and it's for master students. So postgraduates, and I live there's 2 Imperial campuses. There's South Kensington, which is where my business school is. And then there's White City, which is where the science and the whole data hub is. So GradPad is at this particular campus. And I really enjoy living here, because I get to meet a lot of different people, not only from my course, because I think I have like 12, 13 other people from marketing who are also living here, but also other people from like different courses, like there's people doing their PhDs, you get to like meet and socialize with so many people. And I think one thing that I really liked about GradPad was they have like a shuttle service directly from White City to South Kensington campus.
Oh, wow.
So in 15, 20 minutes, you reach campus, and you don't have to. The worst thing about London is you spend so much money on transportation. This, like 3.2 pounds every morning and evening.
That's such a
already like almost 7 pounds every day. So I really save money with that, using the university shuttle bus to go to and fro campus. So that was also a big reason why I decided to stay here.
Right. And what kind of skills have you gained after going to Imperial, like about the course in terms of marketing? Do you think you have gained a lot, or it is very similar to what you already knew?
No, I think definitely I gained an immense amount of knowledge that I mean, a normal textbook could not have taught me,
Mhm.
And I think that, and this especially helped me a lot in my interviews, like when I was in assessment centers or whatever, a lot of the times they ask you questions about, like, for example, two different assessment centers asked me questions about market sizing. And I was like, I know this because I learned it, and you must know the TAM Samsung
Mhm.
market sizing. So I was like, perfect, I can give you the perfect answer. So this stuff like this, this is just one example. There's so many things, like I learned programming R, and that really helped me in one of my marketing interviews when they asked me, oh, how would you increase sales, how would you increase advertising sales? And I was like, I would go back and look at the stuff like that. And I think that really helps you land a job because you know so much more,
Mhm.
and that kind of sets you apart from other people who don't have this kind of knowledge.
Definitely. Wow, that's interesting. And are you doing any part-time jobs now?
I am. So I made the decision not to do a part-time job in the beginning, just because when I started off, I was in a new city, a new country. I wanted to make friends, wanted to be social, and at the same time keep my grades up, and at the same time apply for jobs. Because September to December is like that's when all the grad schemes are open. So my main focus was that, and then in May I finally started doing a part-time job, and that has been, I mean, it's been really fun. It's been easy to kind of handle, to balance, studying
Mhm.
and working.
So where are you working right now?
It's a startup, so it's not launched yet. So it's in the initial pre-launch phases. So I'm learning a lot because I'm doing a marketing role there. So um, I'm actually conducting focus groups. I'm doing stuff like that. So it's using my knowledge that I learned from my master's in
So how did
this.
you apply for this job? Through LinkedIn?
Yeah. So I think easy apply is your best friend, but also because a lot of people do that, I would suggest actually like annoying people by going into their DMs, sliding into
That
DMs on
really does work,
LinkedIn.
is it?
Yeah, exactly. I think like it works. At the end of the day, it works. Like one person will reply to you and say, okay, maybe I have something for you. So that's what I did. And after
Right.
a lot, it worked.
I'm always very like, I've never DM'd anyone. I always wanted to, but like I'm always like, oh, would they get annoyed? But if that helps,
I
like, I'm
know.
gonna try it out.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And have you received an offer for a full-time job?
I have. So I'm still in the wraps of like signing the contract and everything. But no, I have. And
So is it a grad scheme you applied for, or is it something else?
no, it's just a normal role
Mhm.
at a company. So
That's amazing. Congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. It took a while, honestly. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. There's a lot of stuff, especially when you're not from here, the
Mhm.
whole visa sponsorship stuff. And it's not ideal. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So after like, okay, so in your long term, are you planning to stay in the UK or go back to Netherlands, or what does that look like?
I think my goal for now is to stay in London, I would say, for the next foreseeable future. Because I have this job and I really want to see how that goes and where it takes me.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, I don't know what happens in the future.
So for anybody who is coming, so this is my last question. So anybody coming to the UK who want to study in Imperial, what is the best advice you can give upcoming students?
Mm, I would say like make the most of your time at Imperial because it flies away like this. Like it's already July and I started literally 10, 11 months ago. So it's definitely I had the best time of my life here. It was 1 year that I will never forget. But I would also say, like, apart from focusing on your grades and stuff, also network a lot, build good relationships with your professors. That's something that I wish I did more. And networking, attending workshops, attending career events, whatever the university gives you, just take it. You have the opportunity to do it, so why not?
Thank you so much, Dhruvi. You were super insightful. Even I learned so much from you today. And I think for everybody who wants to come to Imperial or want to apply to your Imperial, I think you have covered everything beautifully. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, Devyani, it's my absolute pleasure.
And if
Thank you
anybody
so much
has
for
any
having me.
questions, can they reach out to you on LinkedIn or something like that?
Yes, of course. You can
Uh,
feel free to put my LinkedIn in the
yeah,
bio so they can
yeah.
reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to help. Of
Thank you so much. See
course,
you.
it's my pleasure. Have a nice day.